Okie dokie, let's talk about how to render something so it looks like it's been made out of timber. So timber is another term for the word or material wood, and I've got a nice piece of pine here, and the first thing you'll notice is that pine isn't just brown. So that's our biggest misconception. As soon as you say, oh, I need to colour in this tree, everyone immediately goes for a nice dark brown colour, but timber is a load of different colours. We've got some yellows in here, some oranges, and yes, some browns as well. But we don't want to just use one single colour. We need to use a variety. Now, these lovely lines that you can see coming down or across the timber, these are called grain lines. And this represents the direction of which the tree grew, so it grew in an upwards direction. And these curved lines here, these were the tree's rings. So they represent the new layer of bark that was grown as time went on. And if you count them, it can actually suggest a tree's age. I wanted to point that out because when we are rendering our cube to make it look like timber, we are going to add these lovely lines of grain on it to show those details of timber. So first thing we're going to do, I'm going to use 3 colours for this. I've got a brown, I've got a yellow, and I've got an orange. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to render all the sides so they're all a light yellow. And I can't stress that enough, a light yellow. So just like how I've been rendering previously, I'm going from one edge to the other. And I'm actually going to do 2 layers to make the process a little bit quicker for myself. There we go. I'm going to do another layer. And I'm moving the paper to make my life easier. Okay, it's easier if I can move the paper so I can actually have my pencil going in the same direction rather than having to move my wrist and it just gets a bit awkward. So nice layer of yellow. It's a little bit darker at the top. That's absolutely fine. Glorious. Another layer. So I'm just going to do a second layer now, going across all of them. Nice second layer. Might be a bit harder to see on the camera, obviously, because yellow doesn't show up very well, but we'll do our best to persevere. And if you're wondering why I'm still talking, I don't like silence. Here we go. Oh, it just seems odd. There we go. Okay, so I have now rendered all the sides so they're all just yellow. I'm now going to get my orange and I'm going to go over in a very light orange to add some extra hues and extra tones. And what I want to do is I want to keep the orange, I don't want a full coverage. I want some little gaps. Because that is going to represent my grain lines on my timber. So I want to have a couple gaps. And I'm going to do same at the top here as well. Right. There we go. And then finally, I'm going to go over with a nice light brown. And again, I want them all in the same direction. Same direction as the orange. The only colour that we've gone in a different direction was the yellow. Same direction as the orange, because again, these are going to be our grain lines. And at the top, I'm having it go from left to right. Right. Now, that is more like it. That, to me, looks like a block of timber rather than just a brown blob. And here we go. Okay, so we can already see the oranges, the yellows, and the browns that are coming across in our rendering. What I can do is if I wanted to make it brighter, I would just go back over it with the yellow because the yellow will enhance all the other colours. So if I wanted to make it brighter, just go over with the yellow and it will enhance all those other colours as well as fill in any of those gaps that I may have missed. And again, yellow is the only colour that I can swap directions with, okay? So normally when we're rendering, we want to go in one direction and across in 90 degrees to the opposite, so you get full coverage. We only do that in the yellow because the orange and the brown is going to represent our grain lines. Okay, so I'm now really happy with that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the brown and I'm going to add some darker tones to represent some of these darker and close together grain lines. So I'm going to change the direction of my pencil, of my paper, and I'm just going up and down, up and down. And they don't have to be evenly spaced, and also they could be different. Some could be really dark, some could be really pale. Do the same at the bottom here, or the other side. So dark. Trying to get to the edge. Not doing a very good job with this pencil. Here we go. There we go. Happy with that. And then again, I can do the same with the orange. So gentle coverage, gentle, gentle, not too much. Perfect. Now you've noticed I probably left the top. I haven't touched the top yet. And this is why. So when I said about the top earlier, I talked about these rings here and how they go in a nice curved motion. So what people tend to do when it comes to the top of their timber, I'll just draw a very quick diamond here to show you. Oh, I may as well just draw the whole thing. Right. Say this is my timber block, yeah? I've got my grain lines that are going down like so. When it comes to the top, people immediately start to curve lots of little rings, lots of little arches like that. Now, there's not necessarily anything wrong with that. However, we are in an isometric view. We are in an isometric view, which means that these lovely curved lines might not look like a nice isometric view. These curved lines in an isometric view might not really look like curved lines. So what I often suggest instead of doing like loads of beautiful curves, just do straight lines going across. Now you can curve them slightly if you so wish, add a bit of a curve to them, but just do straight lines that go across in both your colours, there you go, to represent the rings of your timber. So that, to me, looks far more accurate than just something that's been coloured brown. The other thing you can do is we can enhance some of these grain lines, make them a bit more obvious, because again, they could, timber is really unique. Each one looks a little bit different because the grain is so different. But some timber, what you'll find is you'll find a really big a circle, an oval, and that's called a knot, and that's where there's been a branch within the tree. That's obviously been cut and disposed of. So if you wanted to have a knot represented in your drawing, sorry, automatic lights, what you can do is pick a grain line, any grain line, draw an oval. There we go. So it's right over the middle of the grain line. That oval represents the branch. That oval represents where the knot was. And what you can also do if you want to, you can have some slight curved lines coming around it. There you go. Done. Nice little knot from a tree there. Okay? So that is how you render material so it looks like timber. Really hope you found that useful. And as always, happy rendering.